My name is Esme Rodriguez, and I've always prided myself on being the kind of woman who knows exactly what she wants. At 28, I'd built a solid career as a marketing director at a tech startup in San Francisco, juggling high-pressure campaigns and corporate politics like a pro. James had been my rock for the past 3 years, or so I thought. The engagement party was supposed to be our moment. Months of planning, carefully selected venue, meticulously crafted guest list. I'd managed multinational marketing campaigns, so organizing one perfect night should have been a breeze. But Vanessa, James's sister, had other plans. "I've already contacted the caterer," Vanessa announced during our final planning meeting, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against her designer planner. "I made some adjustments to the menu. Those little appetizers you picked? They're way too basic." I forced a smile. "I'm sure the guests will love what we originally selected." James just sat there, scrolling through his phone. Whatever Vanessa thinks is best, I guess. This wasn't new. Vanessa had been inserting herself into every aspect of our relationship for years. When we first started dating, it was subtle. Random drop-ins, urgent family emergencies that always seemed to interrupt our plans. But lately, it had become a full-blown invasion. The engagement party night arrived. The venue looked stunning, until Vanessa started making her rounds. I watched in horror as she began rearranging place settings, whispering to guests, creating a subtle but constant disruption. "Esme, can we talk?" Vanessa cornered me near the bar, her smile razor-sharp. "What's up?" "I'm just concerned about some of the wedding decisions. The venue seems a bit budget-friendly. I know a few connections that could upgrade everything." I took a deep breath. "Vanessa, we've already made our choices." Suddenly, James appeared. "What's going on?" Before I could respond, Vanessa launched into a dramatic explanation about helping with wedding preparations. James nodded sympathetically, completely missing the underlying tension. The breaking point came when Vanessa accidentally spilled red wine on my carefully chosen white engagement dress. The look in her eyes told me it was anything but accidental. "Oh my God, Esme, I'm so sorry!" she exclaimed, her voice dripping with fake concern. James rushed over. "Are you okay, Vanessa?" Not, "Are you okay, Esme?" Not, "Let me help you clean up." Just immediate concern for his sister. I stood there, wine spreading across my dress, watching James comfort Vanessa. The final piece of a puzzle I'd been avoiding seeing for too long suddenly clicked into place. This wasn't just about a ruined dress or wedding planning. This was about boundaries, about respect, about the kind of marriage and family I was signing up for. As Vanessa continued her performance and James remained oblivious, I realized I had a decision to make, and it wasn't going to be an easy one. 2 days after the disaster of an engagement party, I cornered James in our shared apartment. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. "We need to talk about Vanessa." James didn't even look up from his laptop. "What about her?" "Her behavior is completely out of control. She's destroying our relationship, and you're letting it happen." He let out a frustrated sigh. "Here we go again. Esme, Vanessa is my sister. She's just trying to help." "Help? She spilled wine on my dress deliberately. She's been sabotaging our plans for months." James finally looked up, his expression defensive. "You're being dramatic. Vanessa would never do something like that intentionally." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "She calls you multiple times a day. She shows up unannounced. She's planning our wedding more than we are. How can you not see this?" "Family is complicated," he muttered, returning to his screen. That was it. I grabbed my phone and texted Mia, my best friend since college. "Coffee. Now." An hour later, we were tucked into our favorite corner booth at a downtown cafe. Mia listened intently, her eyes growing wider with each detail. "Holy shit, Esme. This is next-level toxic." "I know," I whispered, stirring my latte. "I love James, but I can't marry into this family dynamic." Mia reached out, squeezing my hand. "You deserve better. Way better." That evening, I packed a small suitcase. Quietly, methodically. Each item a decision, each fold a goodbye. I found myself at James's parents' house. A last-ditch attempt to understand. Margaret, James's mother, answered the door. Her eyes told me she knew exactly why I was there. Come in, Esme. Robert, James's father, was already sitting in the living room. The awkward silence spoke volumes. We've watched this happen for years, Margaret said softly. Vanessa has always been difficult. James was always her protector. Robert nodded. We've tried to intervene, but you feel powerless, I finished for him. Their silence was confirmation enough. Back at the apartment, I wrote a letter. Simple, direct, no drama, just truth. I placed the engagement ring on top of the envelope, the diamond catching the last light of day. Mia was waiting outside in her car. No questions, just support. As we drove away, I realized some battles aren't worth fighting. Some relationships aren't worth saving, not at the cost of your own peace. My phone buzzed. Again. Another text from James. I miss you. Can we talk? Delete. 3 months had passed since I walked away. My new apartment was nothing like the perfectly curated space I'd shared with James. This was mine. Mismatched throw pillows, art prints from local street fairs, a workspace that doubled as a living area. Mia dropped by with takeout. Another message? Yep, he's like a broken record. The texts were a roller coaster. One day, pure apology. The next, pure venom. You threw away everything we built. I miss you so much. You're being unreasonable. My work phone rang. Karen, my boss, had that tone. The one that usually meant something big was coming. Esme, how do you feel about leading our new West Coast expansion project? I nearly dropped my coffee. This was the kind of opportunity that could define a career. I'm in, I responded, trying to keep my cool. Marcus, my cousin, insisted on celebrating. Dinner, tonight, no excuses. His friend group was a mixed bag of tech workers, artists, and random professionals. The kind of crowd that felt more alive than any corporate mixer I'd attended with James. Heard you're killing it at work, Marcus said, sliding a craft beer across the table. Lena, one of his friends, leaned in. So you're the legendary Esme Marcus won't shut up about? The conversation flowed. No awkward questions about my broken engagement. No tiptoeing around family drama. My phone buzzed again. This time, a group text from some of our mutual friends. Screenshots of messages Vanessa had been sending around. Carefully crafted narratives painting me as the villain. She's telling everyone I'm some career-obsessed monster who doesn't understand family, I muttered. Marcus grabbed my phone. Wow, she's next-level toxic. The upcoming wedding date loomed. The date we'd picked. The day that was supposed to be our forever. Lena must have caught something in my expression. Want to talk about it? Not really, I said, but the crack in my voice betrayed me. Marcus squeezed my shoulder. You made the right call. Vanessa was a nightmare. James was never going to choose you over his sister. The texts continued. James oscillating between desperate and angry. Vanessa's whisper network of manipulation. But here I was, promoted, surrounded by people who actually saw me. One more text came through. The wedding date. A reminder of what could have been. I took a deep breath and deleted it. Jake, the new guy from our marketing team, was definitely flirting. And not in that pushy corporate way. More like genuine, respectful interest. Drinks after work? He asked, casual but confident. Maybe, I responded, playing it cool. Marcus's wedding was the real test. A year had passed since I'd walked away from my own engagement, and the universe had a twisted sense of humor. Lena pulled me aside. You look amazing. The reception hall buzzed with familiar faces. Some who'd initially believed Vanessa's stories had since reached out with apologies. Sarah, an old mutual friend, looked genuinely uncomfortable. Esme, I'm so sorry about ancient history. I cut her off, not unkindly. Then I saw them. James looked different, smaller, diminished. Vanessa hovered nearby, still controlling every moment of his existence. I heard you got that big promotion, Sarah continued, trying to fill the awkward silence. A tap on my shoulder. Marcus rescued me. Dance? As we moved across the dance floor, he whispered, James looks like he's been through hell. Vanessa caught my eye from across the room. The hatred was palpable, but I felt nothing. No anger, no pain, just freedom. So, Jake had followed me to the bar. Want to grab dinner sometime? His approach was different. No pushiness, no sense of ownership. I've got some boundaries, I warned him. He laughed. Good, boundaries are healthy. James watched from a distance. I could see the regret etched into every line of his face. Vanessa continued to micromanage his every move, adjusting his collar, whispering instructions. Your ex? Jake asked, following my gaze. Ancient history, I repeated. Lena approached with a knowing smile. You've come a long way. The night continued. Marcus's wedding was a celebration of love, real love, the kind that respects individuality, the kind James and I never had. Later, outside the venue, I caught my reflection. Stronger, happier, completely myself. Jake walked up. Want to grab coffee tomorrow? I smiled. Sounds good. 1 year ago, I thought walking away would destroy me. Instead, it was the moment I truly began to live. Vanessa tried to break me. James let her, but I chose myself, and that made all the difference. What would you do if your partner's family was destroying your relationship? Esme walked away from her toxic engagement, choosing herself over a relationship where her boundaries were constantly violated. But what would you have done in her shoes? Drop your raw, unfiltered story in the comments. Have you ever been stuck in a situation where your partner's family was pulling the strings? Where you felt like you were fighting an impossible battle? Family interference can tear relationships apart. Tell me about your breaking point. When did you realize enough was enough? Hit that like button if this story made you feel something. Subscribe to hear more real-life relationship dramas that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about love and family. Your story is waiting. Comment now.